The Oak Island crew has found some incredible artifacts across the island, with the addition of Lot 5 and the probe drilling operations in the garden shaft. The Legina brothers are determined to throw everything they have at the island after 60 years of dreaming of the fabled buried treasure. The hunt for information in their artifacts puts them one step closer to finally putting all the puzzle pieces together. What incredible artifacts have been unearthed across the island, including Lot 5? How are the Legina brothers using cutting-edge technology and state-of-the-art science to crack the code of Oak Island's mysteries? Let's take a look. Oak Island's own Alex and Rick Legina make their way to a tent set up outside the garden shaft to observe what is going on with the probe drilling currently taking place a few feet away from them. Brandon Vanderhoft is supervising the team from the tent and explaining what is happening down below to the Leginas. The drill operating crew is busy setting up their equipment in the tight space of the garden shaft, their flashlights illuminating the dark space. The uncle and nephew pairing chat as they watch the unfolding preparations. They find themselves extremely hopeful and excited to be embarking on a new chapter. This is a promising beginning for the entire Oak Island crew, as it marks the start of this probe drilling operation that is being conducted by representatives from Dumas Contracting Limited in order to look for valuables just outside the structure. The dilapidated 80-foot deep shaft, which is also in the process of being refurbished by Dumas Contracting, has not only yielded the crew high trace evidence of gold through water testing, but it may also sit within feet of a possible treasure chamber connected to the original money pit. Rick is hoping to find something substantial with this probe drilling operation in the garden shaft, while his brother Marty Legina believes that it is this operation that will truly kick off their treasure hunt. Alex Legina, son of Marty Legina, is the one with the most questions about this probe drilling operation. He is asking for clarification as to the depth the team is currently working on and learns that they are at 50 feet. Then Alex remembers that, when they had previously worked at this depth, they hit a void in the area. He informs Brandon Vanderhoft of this happening to give the Dumas team a heads up. In a flashback earlier in the summer, the team drilled into a 10-foot-high void located several feet southwest of the garden shaft. Marty believes that this void could be a sign that they may have an offset chamber nearby. What this means to Marty is that the void actually holds the fabled money pit treasure vault that holds Captain Kidd's buried treasure, a theory that he now seeks to prove true or false. Brandon, the supervisor for the probe drill operation, lets Alex and Rick know that the Dumas crew is lining up and getting the probe drill squared away inside the shaft before they begin. Since the Dumas contractors have reached a depth of 55 feet in the reconstruction of the garden shaft, they are now going to manually probe and drill multiple boreholes that will be able to reach several feet outside of the structure in the hopes of reaching the void and determining what is inside of it. Rick needs to know if there is some connection between their theories and speculations and the reality of the garden shaft. He also believes it is important for the Dumas crew to know whether the connection between the void and the possible secret chamber are real, as it will affect the drilling operations. Alex remains optimistic that this operation will reveal the truth today. The Dumas crew collects soil samples as they work. One of the men holds open a plastic bag, and the other places fistfuls of freshly drilled wall dirt into the bag. Rick, Alex, and Brandon watch on through a screen when Rick gets an idea. Rick's idea is to request that, as the Dumas team cut through the tight wooden lining along the garden shaft wall, that they would take the samples of those wood shavings and set them aside for him. Each wood sample from each of the 4 walls would then be labeled and sent to the lab to be run through the XRF, X-ray fluorescence spectrometer. He lets Brandon know the importance of this testing. Rick speculates that because they have detected high gold values in the area, the wood would act like a sponge and reflect the gold content of the water just outside of it. Charles Barkhouse, Oak Island's expert historian, enters the tent, and he is as excited as the rest of the team to see history being made through the monitor. In order not to waste a second of time, Rick starts saying his goodbyes to everyone in the tent. Eager to take the water, soil, and wood samples down to Emma Culligan, an expert archaeologist and metallurgist who works out of the Oak Island Interpretive Center. The next morning, the entire Oak Island team is outside near the money pit area under an open-air tent where they have been going through some core samples. From behind them, Emma Culligan, the team's archaeometallurgist, carries up the results of the water, soil, and wood samples that Rick collected from the initial borehole drillings. Emma holds up some plastic bags with samples inside them. She holds up a sample from her left hand and places it on a table. Then she says that because the piece in the bag is small, she can do a map scan of it. The sample she is starting with is from the original garden shaft inner lining. From that piece, she detected traces of gold, which confirmed Rick's theory of the wood absorbing the water just outside of it. The wood that had traces of gold had been taken from a depth of 55 feet inside the garden shaft. Marty is most interested to confirm the accuracy of Emma's testing, and she assures him and the rest of the crew that the results are real. Terry is interested to know if the gold had adhered to the organic material, in this case, the wood. Emma explains to the gathered team member that the wood did soak in the gold in the water, and did so at a rate of 0.11%. By Emma's standards, this is actually a big amount of gold since she explains that it is a lot of parts per billion. The Oak Island crew excitedly speak to each other, and they float the idea that what they need to do now is to keep checking things, like cross-checking the water to other samples to see if they can duplicate this result. Terry says that Emma can find gold, and that's a valuable superpower. Marty is astonished by this recent finding. The results are incredible, fantastic. Alex and Emma talk about what a significant find this is, as Marty comments over how close they could be to the treasure. He believes they have some time to pull all of these separate pieces of information together to create a clear view of what they need to do. A map of sorts. Rick gives a speech about how they, as a group, have always said that science had to be a strong component of their research and search for the long-lost treasure. He then talks about how they have always said that the garden shaft would provide a unique opportunity if they were smart and humble enough to learn from all the lost opportunities they have had in the past. A round of applause is initiated for Emma, the metallurgist, for bringing such good news to the team. The quest for finding truth and gold is on. Continuing their new outlook of taking every opportunity presented to them, Rick and Alex Legina, along with their friend Billy Gerhardt, arrive on Lot 11 near the northern edge of the triangle-shaped swamp. They are out there with shovels in hand, slowly walking through the overgrown grass and plants. Here, Rick is directing which way Billy should dig around the ancient site, unwilling to allow anything to be torn apart from reckless digging. Having been given the location of a buried well by Tom Nolan, the team is eager to excavate the feature for clues to help solve this 2-century-old mystery. Metal detection expert Drayton is accompanying the team to lend his expertise in searching through the newly excavated dirt to check it for any important artifacts and clues. The previous person to dig up the buried well had been a man named Fred, who did not believe in using metal detection equipment. This gives Rick hope that they will uncover something Fred missed. Rick wants to know what the extent of the well is before deciding what to do after. Gary and Billy work in tandem to speed up the process, Billy pulling up more and more muck and dirt, and Gary quickly running his metal detector over the freshly excavated areas. After a moment of scanning, Gary hears his metal detector go off and he reaches down into the pile of dirt and pulls out a rosehead spike. The spike is the same color as the dirt surrounding it, however. Its long shape is what captures Gary's attention. The rosehead spike is identified as having been hand-forged and created sometime prior to the discovery of the money pit in 1795. The new question is, how may this spike be related to the buried well that Frank Nolan discovered here more than 4 decades ago? These areas have always been highly trafficked and manipulated by men, which captures his interest. He wonders if this is a sign that there are more structures hidden out of sight nearby, though he does not understand what they would be used for if there was. As the team continues to dig around, Gary's metal detector goes off once more. Alex Legina is the first to jump up and rush to Gary's side as he pulls out an object from a pile of dirt that he thinks could be modern. Gary pulls out a hook that looks quite old-fashioned, and he believes it could have been used to bring up water from the well. The hook gets passed to Rick, and Alex leans in to take in the fine details of their latest discovery. When they pass the hook back to Gary, Alex comments that it looks hand-forged due to the striations on the tip. Gary Drayton then jogs their memories about another bunk hook they found on the island that their blacksmith expert, Carmen, identified as being from the 1600s.